Learning how to get comfortable in discomfort has been the number one thing in my life that I have not only taught myself but learned to completely embody and live by. And it's been the number one thing that I feel like has transformed the way that I am able to live and see the world. And I felt like I change was thrown upon me when I was first diagnosed with cancer, and I felt like it was unfair. I felt like it was unjust. I felt like I had no preparation for it, and actually it was such a blessing to me. The change that brought onto my life, and just meaning that it completely took life as I knew it away from me, but it meant that I could rebuild from the ground up. It has been the biggest blessing. And I think that the reason that it has been a blessing for me is because I've allowed myself to be in that area of not knowing what's around the corner, not having the full picture to things, and getting comfortable in that feeling. And I think that, and I touched on this in my first video, but it was first said to me when I went to my first oncology appointment, and he was talking to me about treatment and everything, and he was the one that said to me, us humans think we have so much control in our lives, but actually we have this much. And it's so true. And of course we have control over what happens in our day-to-day, and the routines that we've got, and the habits that we have, and the people that we see, and what we like to do, and how we spend our time. Of course we have control over that. And I think that me learning how much we don't have control over has made me so much more appreciative and protective over those elements that I have control over. Because I think that when we see our lives and think that we've got control over it, like, we feel like we have to maintain that sense of control to remain safe, to stay safe, not realizing that actually something that could happen to us tomorrow that we cannot foresee, we cannot predict, we never can. I think it's part of the beauty of it sometimes, but that thing could come in and change our world in the blink of an eye. And actually everything that we've been doing to keep ourselves safe day to day has been limiting us, because we haven't wanted to do anything differently. We haven't wanted to grow or change or see different things or do different things, because we would be threatening our sense of safety, everything that we know. We feel like going out of those comfort zones is unsafe. But actually what's more unsafe is that thing that could happen tomorrow, getting diagnosed with something, having an accident, something tragic happen to somebody you know. That is what really comes in, and that is what stands there and looks at you in the face and says, your life is now going to change. And in that moment, all you can think about is, wow, have I even been happy with the way that my life has been up until now? And the reason why most people will say no is because what they've been doing up until that point was everything to keep themselves comfortable. Keep themselves comfortable, keep other people in their lives comfortable, just keep everything familiar. But when that moment happens, and this happened to me, it's happened to me a couple of times, when that moment comes in and you think that, one, you may not even be alive for very much longer, but you know that your life isn't going to look the same, you question every single thing that you've done up until this point, and you question everything that's going on in your life right now, and you think, am I fulfilled? Because essentially it's going to take everything, and you want to be able to sit in that moment, as scary as it is. At least you want to be able to sit in that moment and think, okay, well, at least if anything changes now, I can be happy with everything the way that I was doing it. I feel like I was living my life the best that I possibly could. That's what we want. But I think the majority of people don't feel that way about their lives, because we live so much for things outside of ourselves. And I think that me getting to grips with just how uncertain life is, and looking at that differently and thinking, okay, so now I'm going to make sure that everything I do have control over is absolutely to my own definition of what makes me happy, what makes me fulfilled, what makes my life authentic to me, not to anybody else. I want to make sure that everything I do and everything that I spend time and energy doing is the best it can be for me and for me. And I'm very protective over that now. Like, I think it's just such a good thing. I think it's an absolute privilege to be in a position where you can review your life and think, I want to change and I want to do things differently. And I don't think as humans we should ever be afraid to grow and to do things differently. Like, I think this is another thing where humans can feel like growing and changing not only threatens our comfort zone, but it threatens people around our comfort zone. And I think that especially once we get to a certain age and we have people in our lives, partners or long-term friends and stuff, we almost don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable through our own change. And whether that be changing in priorities, changing in hobbies, changing in our mindset or growth or belief systems, or just generally how we live our lives, we don't want to make people uncomfortable. But what life is that then for us? We are ever evolving and ever changing beings as humans. We should not be staying the same. We are alive for however many years that we've got in this precious, precious life. And how sad would it be and how much of a shame would it be if we stunt our own growth and development as people just to stop the people around us feeling uncomfortable and threatened by that. And we just having this element to us of reviewing our lives and making sure that we are living in a way that makes us happy is just, like I said, such a privilege. And I think that it can feel unfair sometimes when change happens and you feel like, you know, for example, when I was diagnosed, I felt like I lost all autonomy over my life. I felt like I had no agency. I felt like I had no control over my decisions and what happened to me, because essentially when you go through something, especially when it's health related, you do give your body, mind, soul, health across to healthcare professionals, as much as you do have a say in certain decisions. And I believe that we should always advocate for our decisions and have a say in them. It's only to a certain degree, because essentially they are the people that we are trusting to keep us alive. And that can feel very, very unfair. And it feels suffocating and it feels claustrophobic and it feels like just so frustrating, like you're in a cage and you just want to break free of that cage. So then when I kind of became out of that, because I wasn't having as many appointments anymore, even though I have 6 monthly scans, which means that every 6 months I'm going back into that phase of feeling like anxious and in limbo because I'm worried that the cancer may return. And, you know, I've had to get comfortable in that period of unknowns and, you know, maintain an element of sanity in that period of time and just learn what works for me to be able to keep my anxieties at a minimum. But it's just so difficult when you're facing unknowns. But now that I am technically out more so of that period of time when I'm constantly listening to doctors and having my life dictated by doctors, I now have realised that our own self constraints are just as bad as handing our lives over to a third party like hospitals or anything to make decisions for us. Because essentially, when we are not living a life aligned with our own, it's our own limiting beliefs and it's our own fear of judgment or fear of growth or living for other people that is literally just as constraining as that. And that's what I don't feel like we should be doing. We should have our own beliefs. We should explore our limits. We should explore what makes us happy. And we should change and we should grow. And instead of staying in one place and just fighting the resistance of like say for example you're in a stream of water, and the place that you know and is safe to you and that you're familiar and comfortable within suddenly is faced with like a current and tide, and to stay there you just have to constantly push against it and resist the current, and because you are so afraid of moving further down the stream, because it's something that's not known to you, with people that you don't know, surroundings that you don't know, so you stay stuck and you are using so much of your own energy just to stay in that one place. Whereas actually further down the stream there are different avenues off. There are beautiful surroundings, there are beautiful people, there's different things to see. It's actually in a lot of ways calmer and nicer and more beautiful, but we don't know that because we're staying stuck in that one place. Whereas if we actually just let ourselves be taken by the current and be comfortable with the flow of life and go with the flow of life, then we can end up in places just so much more beautiful. And I think that for me, I've learned to go with that flow. I've learned to trust where I'm being guided to, and it can still be challenging when you don't know all of the answers and you don't know what's ahead, but I know 100% hands down I wouldn't be in the place that I'm in now if I hadn't have let myself be taken with the current and to change my perspective and see things differently. I got really, really clear and conscious and specific about what I wanted my surroundings to look like, what I wanted the people around me to be like, where I wanted to live, what I wanted to do for work, how I wanted to spend my time, how I wanted to see my health, whether that's body, mind, spirit, soul, everything. I got so specific because it is an absolute privilege. It's an absolute privilege to have control over that and to have our lives as much as we are in control of, looking so beautiful and so happy and so fulfilled. And I just don't think it's something that we can risk handing over to anyone else, whether that's our negative thoughts or beliefs or anxieties or other people. Like, this is our life to live. And for the bit that we have control over, we should be all over that. And yeah, like I said, I got so specific on all of that and I let the current take me, and I'm somewhere where I'm so happy. I feel like my surroundings have changed so much about me and who I am and how happy I am. And I wouldn't have done all of this. I wouldn't have been in this place that I'm in now if I hadn't have let a tragic, horrible event that I felt was very unfair at the time actually become a blessing to me and actually make me stop and savor the moment and think, okay, this has happened to me now. There's a lot I now want to change, because there is no way in hell I am getting to a place again in my life where something can come in and rip the carpet out from under me, and for me to be like, oh my God, I was unhappy with my life before. Like, I can't let that happen. And so, yeah, I think perspective is a privilege. I think change and growth and transformation is an absolute privilege. I think that having autonomy and control and a say in our life is a privilege, and I think living our life aligned with ourselves and authentically to us is a privilege. And just, yeah, like I said, takes you down streams and avenues so different to what you could have imagined before, but more beautiful and different. But I just think it's really important, and I don't think that we should waste the opportunity for that.